Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Metabolism and Menopause podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I am your host and CEO of Vitality OET. We are a women's nutrition, health, and fitness coaching company that focuses predominantly on women's hormones, particularly as they start going through perimenopause and onwards. We know that you start experiencing so many changes in this time of your life, whether it be the hot flashes, the night sweats, irritability, brain fog, or weight gain around the middle that seems to have come out of absolutely nowhere despite you not changing anything. So you go back to those tried and true methods of cutting calories, cutting carbs, doing a bunch of cardio, yet it feels like nothing is working. You are putting in all this effort and you are just moving backwards. But we know now that your body is inherently different now that you've gone through these hormonal changes. So our mission here at Vitality is to really help you understand how your body changes in this time of your life, so you can reach your health and fitness goals, live a life full of vitality, and really understand how to take care of this new body of yours. So today, we're going to talk about the topic of mitochondria, which many of you are like, It is crazy, you guys. I have done so much studying. I have done so much research. I'm always taking new courses, and I am astounded by how much information there is on mitochondria and how much it is not talked about. And it really is so key when it comes to, providing your body with energy, to help you actually burn fat, to decrease disease and actually improve your hormonal balance. So I'm going to talk about so many things that is going to transform the way that you think about things and make sense as to why things are happening the way they're happening, why past things aren't working. It is going to blow your mind. I'm going to try and simplify things as much as I can because you know me, I love the sciencey, nerdy stuff. But I think this is really important to really understand. So first of all, why? Why is mitochondria even important in perimenopause and menopause, but in life in general as well? You probably remember mitochondria being like biology 30, the powerhouse of the cell, right? That's the multiple choice question we always knew we were going to get right. And what does that mean actually? Because most of us probably can't even really define it. We just remembered that thing, and that's how we were able to, get that passing grade in Bio 30. So mitochondria are responsible for producing something called ATP, which is basically just energy. And that specific type of energy literally fuels almost every single cell in our body, every cellular function. So that's really important. It's literally powering everything. Okay. So let's talk about that a little bit. Mitochondria is going to produce 90% of the energy your cells need to function. 90%. That is a lot. Without healthy mitochondria, what we see is that energy levels drop because we're not producing as much. This is going to lead to things like fatigue and low energy in general, poor exercise tolerance, and a reduced ability to just in general, perform everyday tasks. We also see that mitochondria plays a very key role in burning fat and regulating your metabolism. So your metabolism is how many calories your body burns at rest. It's basically telling us how good is your body at burning calories. If your body's not good at burning calories, metabolism's slow, making weight loss very challenging and weight gain very easy. If your metabolism is faster, then your body's good at burning calories, meaning it's a lot easier to lose weight. You can eat more food. You're going to see that weight loss is a lot easier and weight gain less likely. That's what we really want, right? We want to have a nice, healthy, fast metabolism. So what we see is that when our mitochondria are impaired, which happens during perimenopause and menopause, by the way, because estrogen plays such a key role in this. So if mitochondria function goes down, hormone production goes down, that means less estrogen. But when estrogen goes down, mitochondrial function goes down. So you have this negative spiral. That's not a good thing, right? So when we see that this mitochondrial function is impaired, it leads to weight gain. It leads to a slower metabolism, difficulty losing fat, especially important during perimenopause and menopause when we have all these other factors that already slow down our metabolism, like a poor stress threshold and poor sleep. We start having more blood sugar control issues. Our thyroid starts to slow down. We start having liver detox issues. We have more inflammation. We have more gut health issues. We start losing muscle mass. All of these things slow down our metabolism. So this is just another thing that's really going to contribute to that. But we know that it's a 90% responsible for all the energy that we produce. So if our body's not good at producing energy via like breaking things down and stuff like that, we're going to see your metabolism gets really low. So mitochondrial health is super important. And then we go into cellular health and aging. So mitochondria help repair and maintain your cells. But as they age or become damaged, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more in a little bit here, they're going to produce less and less energy. And when they produce less energy, we see an accumulation of harmful byproducts like free radicals. So I talked about free radicals in the inflammation podcast I did. I'm going to talk about it very in depth and give you very hands-on helpful tips and things like that in the workshop that we're running later this week. So make sure you sign up for that if you have not yet. It'll be in the show notes for you. But what we see is when we have more free radicals being produced because mitochondrial health gets worse, is that there is more free radicals leading to more oxidative stress. This accelerates aging. So this means that we see cell damage from that oxidative stress. So cells get damaged and they can't get repaired as well because our mitochondria is not in the best place. We're going to see that our hormonal disruptions get worse when there's more oxidative stress. We're going to see higher cortisol levels. We're going to see a slower metabolism. We're going to see more increased inflammation, which will drive cortisol up even more. And this is all going to lead to a lot of cardiovascular disease risk, diabetes, other chronic diseases like cancer specifically is very high, neurodegenerative diseases as well, like Alzheimer's, dementia. And of course, it's also going to lead to a weight gain and a resistance to weight loss. So maintaining that mitochondrial integrity, making sure our mitochondria are nice and healthy, it's going to really slow down that cellular aging process. It's going to decrease the damage we see to DNA. It's going to decrease our cardiovascular risk, our cancer disease risk, our diabetes risk, all of these things that we see that when women hit perimenopause and menopause, just boom, risk factors increase substantially. So mitochondrial health becomes even more important, not just for weight loss, but for your health as well. So let's dive into the oxidative stress and inflammation side of this a little bit more specifically. Mitochondria help regulate that oxidative stress. It helps manage the balance between free radicals and antioxidants. So if you have enough antioxidants, they kind of neutralize all those free radicals that are floating around in our body from the increased stress, the increased inflammation, poor mitochondrial health, right? So if we don't have enough mitochondrial health, we're going to see that the oxidative stress goes up, antioxidant production decreases, and now we're going to have way more damage to our cells, which we know is going to result in disease and an inability to be able to lose weight. So we know it's going to result in more aging as well. So we're going to see our skin get thinner, more crepey feeling, more wrinkles as well, thinning of hair, general tissue damage inside of your body as well. And again, a wide range of disease. So what we see is, I'm going to get a little sciencey here for you, but I love this part so much. It's just so cool. So inflammation speeds up the replication of cells. So our cells are supposed to divide and multiply. This is how we, heal our skin, how we have tissue turnover, how our skin stays nice and young and healthy looking, how our organs stay nice and healthy, how we build muscle, right? This is how our body does this, is by dividing cells and replicating them. So what we see is when inflammation goes up, we see a much higher rate of the replication of these cells, which is not a good thing because on the ends of your chromosomes, when you're in your gene expression, you have these things on the bottom called telomeres, and those are a specific length. Okay. And so they unravel, they get duplicated, and then new cells get created. But those telomeres will shorten over time as they get replicated, right? Because that's what happens. Think of a big ball of yarn. You undo some of it, they cut the string off, it doubles the string that got cut off, but that ball of yarn can get smaller and smaller and smaller. So as it gets replicated, that cell itself gets smaller. And then all of a sudden they get to a place where the telomeres can't shorten anymore. When they get too short, when there's not enough string left, now we see a lot of issues with aging, health complications, and then a thing called cell senescence and apoptosis, which is basically the cells die, because once we are past that point of where the replication can occur on those telomeres, we can't do the rest because then the wrong things start getting duplicated. This is where we can start seeing like tumor cell growth, right? There's mutations in those cells, which we don't want. So then what happens is as these kind of like senescent cells, they're kind of like dead cells, they can't be replicated anymore, they start to accumulate in our body. And our immune system becomes a lot less efficient, and they also taint our healthy cells. So this is going to really affect a person's ability to withstand stress, which we know already happens during perimenopause and menopause. We also see that they're going to struggle with illness. They'll get sick more often. Recovery takes longer. They're also going to find that like recovering from workouts sometimes can be a lot more challenging. You're going to be tired all the time. Recovering from injuries and surgeries is really hard. Learning new things is even challenging because you don't have enough to replicate things in your brain, right? So that can degrade your cognitive functions as well. So we don't want to have an accumulation of these senescent cells, these dead cells. We don't want things to, and how do we do that? We stop how quickly things get replicated so we don't burn out through that ball of yarn. So then what we see is that the accumulation of these like dead type cells have been connected to a multitude of age-related conditions, including cancer is a really big one, diabetes, osteoporosis, cardiovascular disease, stroke, Alzheimer's disease, related dementias, and osteoarthritis. Wild how a lot of that is also increasing post-menopause. Is there a link? Of course there is. We also see that there is a link between declining eyesight, mobility, your thinking ability. Investigations are underway to see like how much it contributes to the skin sagging, the wrinkles, and the more cells that become quote unquote dead, that's those senescent cells. Oh man, that's a mouthful to say. I'm a one take Tina. So we do it one round. This is what you get. And so that these cells are going to decrease their metabolic capacity because now there's these dead cells. They can't produce energy anymore. In fact, they're going to be increasing inflammation, which results in a slower metabolism, and your body gets less efficient at burning calories. So it sucks at burning calories. This is not good, right? So you can see how we want to avoid that increase in inflammation because it can lead to a ton of disease, and that is the way it works. And mitochondria have a massive, massive influence on that. We want to have nice, healthy mitochondria to help combat that so that we're not dealing with all these disease type states and then inability to be able to lose weight. As I mentioned, mitochondria is a very linked to hormone health, right? Poor hormone health, worse mitochondria, but worse mitochondria leads to worse hormone health. So that tends to cycle. Very hard, right? Like we can do things to improve our hormone health. We do it all the time. However, is the chicken or the egg? It's a lot easier to improve mitochondrial health. So working on addressing that is going to be key. And it's also going to help decrease disease risk. It's going to help with your inflammation and the oxidative stress and the free radicals and everything that we've talked about so far. Again, I talked a little bit about like Alzheimer's disease and dementia. So we know that the brain is a very energy intensive organ. It requires so much energy because it is running the show. Like it is dictating everything in your body. So healthy mitochondria are essential for cognitive function, for focus, for memory. Poor mitochondrial function can lead to brain fog, difficulty concentrating, risk of those neurodegenerative diseases that we talked about. So is it the decrease in estrogen, or is it the impact that mitochondria has on estrogen, both together, the inflammation that's causing all of these symptoms, right? They're very together. This is why you can't isolate things. We have to look at everything big picture and how does one thing affect the other, affect the other, affect the other. And this is why we run the workshops and the group coachings and the challenges and the one-to-one coaching, because you can't just isolate things. We need to look at the body as a whole and address the body as a whole and figure out what is the biggest driving factor for you, because everyone's going to be a little bit different. Okay. And then lastly, I want to talk about how protective it is against chronic diseases. I've touched on this a little bit already, but mitochondrial dysfunction is linked to so many conditions. It's insane via the inflammation and the oxidative stress that we see from poor mitochondrial function. So again, it's the diabetes, the cardiovascular disease, the cancer, the accelerated aging, the Alzheimer's, atherosclerosis, bipolar disorder, chronic fatigue syndrome, chronic kidneys disease, depression, fatty liver disease, fibromyalgia, infertility, IBS or IBD, insulin resistance, MS, neurological conditions, obesity, Parkinson's, skin disorders. Like there are so many. So you can improve your health and reduce your disease risks so much just by improving the health of your mitochondria. Put on top of that in order to have like really good muscle function and endurance, you need to have enough energy being provided to those muscle cells. If your mitochondria are in poor health, they cannot do that. We have poor recovery. You can't build muscle despite working out really hard, right? This should sound familiar. So let's dive into like the more hormonal specifics for you. And then also, of course, how to improve it. Because I think I've now hit home. Mitochondrial health is very important for metabolism, for being able to lose weight, your hormones, and overall disease risk. This is key. If mitochondria are not healthy, you will always struggle. Okay. And this is going to contribute to the cortisol. This is going to contribute to the inflammation. It's going to contribute to everything. So estrogen, like I mentioned, has a protective effect on mitochondria. It keeps them healthy. It keeps them happy, right? It helps regulate mitochondrial biogenesis, which means the creation of new mitochondria. It enhances the efficiency of energy production of ATP. So estrogen makes mitochondria better at creating energy, and it's also going to help produce more mitochondria. Estrogen is also an antioxidant, which is going to reduce that oxidative stress within the cells, which also helps support mitochondrial health. Then what we see is during perimenopause and menopause, postmenopause, when those estrogen levels are lower, it can really negatively affect our mitochondrial function. This decline can contribute to symptoms like the fatigue, the weight gain, the mood changes, the brain fog, all of those things, because that mitochondria are not producing you with enough energy to do all of those things. So some things that you can do to help with this specific side of things with the estrogen is including more phytoestrogens. We have been doing this on quite a few of our clients, doing a case study, kind of, seeing how things have improved. Increasing phytoestrogens has been phenomenal, insane in what we're seeing in results in terms of better mood, much more stable mood. Brain fog is like gone. Hot flashes have been drastically improved just by including phytoestrogens every day. We have a whole podcast on phytoestrogens that you can go back to. And there's also a guide to go with that as well. So if you want a list of the phytoestrogen foods, just message me and I'd be more than happy to send that over to you. Hormone replacement therapy can also help obviously increase the estrogen. And then so having some, having phytoestrogens or taking some HRT can help with this to help support that mitochondrial health there, which will then in turn also support your estrogen levels too. So it's a bonus both ways, right? Again, we have a lot of women who can't take HRT or choose not to or can't afford it. And the phytoestrogens are a phenomenal natural way to do that. And it's been very, very, very helpful. And even if women are on HRT, the phytoestrogens have made a massive difference for them. The next one is thyroid function and mitochondria, because we know once you hit perimenopause and menopause, your risk of developing hypothyroidism increases substantially. We see this all of the time. So thyroid hormones are important because they also regulate our metabolism. They tell our body if we're good at burning calories or not so good at burning calories. It really dictates that. It's like the little thermometer for us. So thyroid hormones, particularly T3 and T4, are critical regulators of our mitochondrial function. They stimulate the mitochondria activity by increasing the number of mitochondria and also enhancing their energy production capacity, similar to that of estrogen. So these hormones play a central role in metabolism and energy regulation. So you can see low estrogen and low thyroid together, really not great for metabolism, for energy, right? So hypothyroidism, that's going to result in reduced mitochondrial function, right? Less energy being produced, which is why a lot of women who have hypothyroidism really, really struggle with their energy. They struggle with their weight gain, depression, also cold intolerance as well. And this is because your mitochondria become very sluggish. They're not producing enough energy because there aren't enough thyroid hormones to really support that. So you really want to optimize your thyroid function through proper nutrition. Again, we have a whole podcast on thyroid function, but some things that you can try and incorporate into your diet are going to be getting enough selenium, iodine, and zinc. Address the underlying conditions, so the autoimmune issues. We did a whole live training in this in our Facebook community that you can go back to really help support your mitochondrial health when it comes to thyroid conditions and autoimmune conditions. Reducing stress is number one. So making sure you're eating enough food, having enough carbohydrate to bring down that stress response is going to be key. because all that's going to bring down the inflammation, which is then going to allow your mitochondrial function to improve, but also thyroid production will improve as well, which will doubly benefit the mitochondria to help improve with your energy and your weight loss as well. So this is where a lot of people with Hashimoto's, or low thyroid function, if you're low calorie for too long, this is where we start to see a lot of negative side effects. You start feeling more puffy, you're not losing weight. Sometimes you can't be in fat loss for as long, or we have to do like a much less of a deficit and then be there for a longer period of time, so we're not overstressing the body with too low of a deficit. So there are a lot of things when it comes to thyroid conditions in terms of how we work with this. And the majority of the women that we work with actually have some sort of thyroid condition. Then we have progesterone. We love progesterone here. Progesterone's amazing. It is the hormone that makes you feel calm and relaxed, and stress just rolls off your back and your mood is stable. You're not irrational. You're not reactive. Your partner loves when you have adequate levels of progesterone. Let's just say it that way. But progesterone also plays a big role in mitochondrial function as well, particularly in maintaining their health. It helps with the fission and fusion. So it makes sure that there is enough energy production and cellular health there. And it also has a neuroprotective role to support energy production in the brain cells specifically. So this is why when progesterone is low, we're a little bit more irrational. We're a little bit more moody. We start struggling with these things. This is why. So how can we support our progesterone production? The biggest thing is going to be through stress reduction, because if cortisol goes up, progesterone goes down every single time. So we need to make sure that we are eating enough food, having enough carbohydrates, exercising in a way that isn't overstressing our body, prioritizing our sleep. Those are the things that we talk about all the time, and these is just part of the reasons why. So those are going to be the biggest things that really help. Taking a vitamin B50 in the morning can help with the energy as well as supporting progesterone. And that can also then therefore stabilize your mitochondrial health. So that's always a good option as well. And then as I mentioned cortisol is going to have a big, big impact on mitochondria. This is why we talk about cortisol so much. We know that when estrogen goes down, cortisol goes up a lot easier. Before it was a 9 out of 10 of stress before we saw cortisol go up. Now it's only a 5 out of 10 before cortisol goes up. And we know cortisol is that primary stress hormone. It is essential short term to provide us for help and energy in a time of panic, in a time of threat, right? If there's a snake, if there's a bear, if there's a car crash, whatever it is, it gives you that burst of energy and alertness to deal with that. However, this is not a good thing long-term, because short-term, it's going to increase the availability of glucose and increase mitochondrial output in times of stress. That's why you have the energy. This is why you see actually blood sugar goes up when you are fasting at the beginning. If you do it for a very short period of time, when you get that, people are like, oh, when I'm fasting, I have this mental clarity and I feel so alert. This is why cortisol goes up. And now you're very focused and sharp. And this is because there's more sugar going into your bloodstream, because your body's breaking down energy in other places like muscle mass, taking it to your liver, dumping that sugar into your bloodstream. But it also increases that mitochondrial output. But if we continue doing this long term, there's no exit plan. This is why fasting stopped working, or it only worked for a short period of time. And now it's making you feel worse, and you've been doing it for a very long time. We actually see there is much more long-term effects of damage. And this is with all stress. There is too much of something. This is why you got to cycle through things. I'm doing sauna right now. We have one, and I'm not doing it every single day. I'm doing it every single day for a short period of time, and then I'm taking a break, because there is such thing as too much stress. Your body adapts to it, and that's not what we want. Because what we see is that chronic level of stress leads to persistently high levels of cortisol over time, which actually end up overworking the mitochondria, because your body keeps telling you, we need more energy, we need more energy, we need more energy. This also happens in fat loss. So if your calories are too low for too long, so then your body ends up producing excessive oxygen species, which are ROS, which lead to more oxidative damage. So if you are in a stress state for too long, so you are doing the exercise crazy for too long, you're cutting calories for too long, you're cutting out carbs for too long, you're fasting for too long, you're not eating consistently enough, you're not getting enough sleep, you are dealing with the family stress and work stress and skipping meals and all those things, that leads to actual damage of your cells, which leads to mitochondrial dysfunction, poor energy, more sleep disturbances, weight gain, particularly around the belly, and increases your risk for cancers and things like this. This is why we see people who are very healthy. Oh, she's so active. She eats so well, right? Oh, look at her. She can handle so much. She's go, go, go. She's superwoman. Boom, she gets cancer. And you're like, what? But she's so healthy. This is why. This is why. Because there is too much of a good thing. Too much exercise will kill you. An ice bath, good short term, long term, that will kill you. You can die from drinking too much water, right? So the thing that you need to really understand here is that the stress is going to totally destroy your mitochondria and actually result in more DNA damage. That ball of yarn gets really, really small. Then we have all these dead cells. We don't want those. They increase inflammation and oxidative stress even more. It's not a good situation to be in. And we put ourselves there because we think that some is good, more is better. Eat less, move more, right? So how do we fix this? You manage your stress, right? By eating enough food, having enough calories, eating consistently through the day. You're having your breakfast. You're eating enough protein. You're getting enough sleep. You're not doing workouts every single day. We're doing something that actually slows down our breathing rate and heart rate every single day. Maybe it's meditation, maybe it's yoga, addressing your sleep, decreasing your caffeine intake, decreasing or taking out alcohol completely. All of those things are going to massively improve your cortisol levels and make a huge difference on your mitochondria. So mitochondria causes a lot of issues, but what's causing the mitochondria to get worse? This is what we need to address. It's also important to note that insulin is also going to have an impact on our mitochondria as well. Because insulin really regulates glucose uptake in cells. It helps shuttle sugars to the cells where they need to go, provides them with the necessary fuel for the mitochondria to then produce that energy that we need. If we have healthy insulin function, that helps ensure that our mitochondria are getting everything that it needs to be able to produce energy for our body that in a way that it can actually use. This is a key part. It turns turns glucose into an energy form that we can actually use. When we start seeing insulin resistance, when estrogen goes down, insulin resistance goes up. It often leads to impaired glucose metabolism. Our body's not good at breaking it down. Our body needs way more insulin knocking on the doors of our cells to try and give it the glucose. And what happens is mitochondria are less efficient. They're not able to produce as much energy. So this results in feeling tired, and the weight gain, because now since the sugars aren't being actively given to our mitochondria in the right way, now it's getting stored as fat mass instead. We don't want that. And when this happens, we also see an increase in oxidative stress because our mitochondria isn't getting what it needs. So we need adequate amounts of insulin, not too much, not too little. There's that Goldilocks, right? And this is where having enough carbohydrates and eating them the right way, improving our insulin sensitivity is going to be key. Improving your insulin sensitivity is going to be great by making sure you're having carbohydrates at every meal, but you're eating most of your protein and veggies first before having your carbs. So if you're having a stew, you're having maybe a side salad first. Maybe before having your sandwich, you're having some veggies and dip. Make it super simple. Don't overcomplicate it. If you're having meat, potatoes, and a salad, have some of your salad and meat first before hopping into your potatoes. Increasing your fiber intake helps with this as well. Making sure that you're having a solid exercise routine where you're actually resistance training 2 to 4 days a week. Those are going to make massive differences, as well as reducing stress. Because remember, I said when you're in a stress state, your body increases cortisol. Cortisol is like, I need to provide energy, breaks down muscle mass, takes it to the liver to break down to glucose. That sugar gets pumped into your bloodstream. So even in the absence of food, you're still going to see blood sugars come up. Just it's going to break down your own muscle and tissue instead, which you definitely don't want. And then we also see leptin in mitochondria. So leptin is a hormone produced by fat cells, and it regulates your energy balance by signaling your brain when your body has had enough energy stored in fat cells. Okay, so you have enough fat cells, and your body's like increases leptin. It's like, hey, stop. We have enough energy here. We do not need to store anymore. We're good. Leptin also helps support mitochondrial function by helping regulate metabolism. So it really tells your brain, hey, I'm full and we have enough energy stores. But here's the thing. When leptin levels are high, and that means that you have enough energy stores, that's a good thing, right? However, when leptin levels are low, it signals that your body needs more energy, making you feel hungry and continuing to store fat, right? If your body becomes more resistant to leptin, so you need a lot more leptin in order for your body to be full and recognize that, hey, we don't need to store any more fat, your brain just isn't getting that message because it's just like insulin resistant. Your cells need a lot more insulin to open the door to deliver the sugar. Your brain needs more leptin to say, hey, we're good. We don't need any more food. We have enough fat being stored. So then what happens is your body never gets that stop signal. And this happens a lot. We see leptin resistance in a ton of women. I'm going to do a whole podcast on this. Otherwise, I'll dive too deep here because I tend to do that. I love learning and I love science. It's just amazing. But we know that this happens a lot in people who struggle to lose weight, who have slow metabolisms, who have been under eating for a long time, who have been eating low carb for a very long time. So we're going to dive into that more on a separate podcast. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. So we know that this is, again, going to negatively impact your mitochondria as well, because it's going to help with that. So we want to make sure that we are doing things to help support that. And it's going to come down to stress management, to regular meal timings, to having enough carbohydrates, stabilizing our blood sugars, decreasing inflammation. All of those things will help with your leptin resistance as well. So I want to return to that metaphor of mitochondria as like the power plants of your cells. They supply our cells with the crucial energy that we need. So just like an actual power plant, the working conditions can absolutely impact the quality of output and production in that factory, right? In that power plant. So if we are consistently having a poor diet, eating a lot of highly processed foods, this includes the protein powders and the protein bars and the protein pancakes and the protein oatmeal and the low carb breads and the keto wraps. Those are all highly processed. Okay. And so is donuts. So is cereal. So is chocolate, right? So what we see is if you've been having a poor diet for a very long time or highly processed food, even though it's health foods, right? Quotation marks, or you've been overeating for a long time or undereating for a long time, or have a lot of chronic dieting, lots of yo-yo dieting, we see that you're also going to see more free radical damage from more stress, whatever it might be. That is going to wear down, or even the overexercising can do this. It's going to wear down our healthy mitochondria and lead to mitochondrial dysfunction because you're putting so much work on that system. Okay. So what we see is your body is working so hard, but now production is going down. So you have this power plant it's getting all this, like, let's say money tossed into it to try and like turn out more product. And it's just not producing anymore. And so this can be, if you change the environment of the actual factory, it can help. Like maybe it's because it's too hot in there. If we just, turn up the AC a little bit, production could improve. Parts don't overheat. Maybe it's too cold in there and then the factory's not working as well. So now we have to, close the windows and all of a sudden things start running more smoothly. So do we put more effort into like pushing to just like work harder, have more production, or do we improve the environment of the actual power plant and then see things change magically on its own, right? That's a lot less effort and a lot less frustrating than spending a whole bunch of time yelling at it to work harder and turn out more when it could have been as easy as closing some windows and like changing the temperature, right? So this is where a healthy, balanced diet is going to be one of the most important factors for maintaining the health of your mitochondria, because it thrives on a diet that is high in good quality protein, that it has lots of omega-3s to bring that inflammation down, because we know inflammation is going to really result in damage to these areas. Getting enough B vitamins, so taking a vitamin B50 is great because we know that that's going to help with energy production in itself by supporting the mitochondria, by helping with progesterone production. Take it in the morning, because if you take it at nighttime, that energy can actually keep you up. Having enough healthy fats, having enough antioxidants in your food. So having the fruits and the veg, having nuts, having seeds, eating mostly Mediterranean. That's going to help you so much compared to having the ultra processed foods and, having all this high stress and tons of exercise, which is really going to increase the production of free radicals, really damaging that mitochondria, and your body cannot keep up anymore, can't produce. So then, despite you feeding the mitochondria, it's still going to get stored as fat mass, and we don't want that. So this is where slowly increasing your calories over time, the right way. Head to the Menopause Weight Loss Masterclass series that I have on here to learn more about that. But this is where increasing your calories slowly, removing the amount of stressors that you have, and this includes eating too little or cutting out your carbs, skipping breakfast, coffee on an empty stomach, drinking a lot of alcohol, not prioritizing getting at least 7 hours of sleep, not drinking enough water. All of those things is going to significantly improve your mitochondrial fitness, leading to a body that is better at producing energy and burning energy. This means that in everything that you do in your body will be significantly better at burning calories if your mitochondria are healthy. You can work out for the same length of time and burn more calories than before. You can sleep and burn more calories in your sleep than you used to. You can go for a walk and burn more calories than you did before. By not changing the amount of activity that you're doing, your body gets better at burning calories. Only by improving your mitochondrial health. You can eat food and burn more calories during digestion by improving mitochondrial health. Sitting here burning calories. My mitochondrial health is better than it was a month ago. I'm burning more calories right now than I was a month ago and not having to put in more effort in working out. So if you have supported the body with adequate nutrition for the right amount of time and balanced your systems, then you can go into fat loss without worrying about your mitochondria taking a hit. But we know that if you are not in a good position and you try to cut calories and you try to cut carbs and you try to do the fasting and you try to do crazy workouts, mitochondrial health will go in the toilet. And then you not only increase your chance of gaining weight in that situation, but also developing chronic conditions. We are already at risk of developing these when estrogen goes down. I've talked about this before. This is so important. We know that hormonal imbalances are going to affect your mitochondrial function and vice versa. We know it's going to impact everything in your body, from energy levels to how good your body is at burning calories to just having overall well-being, your mental health. So by addressing these root causes as to why is your mitochondria not in a good position, we need to address the why. And usually it's because of inflammation in some way, shape, or form. But there are so many causes of inflammation, that we need to figure out what it is for you to really get your body good at burning calories again and getting your mitochondria nice and healthy. And then we're not seeing the replication of mutated DNA leading to things like cancer. This is something I'm very passionate about. I lost my mom to cancer. So we need to address what is that root cause, and that is why we are hosting a workshop on Thursday. If you want to register, it's in the show notes. It's going to give you literally everything that you need to know and really pinpoint what is the biggest factor for you so that you can start making these changes, optimize your mitochondria, get the cortisol and inflammation down, get your body good at detoxing again so you can finally lose weight. I hope to see you there, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.